Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to make a little display shadow box kind of thing for my Lost Kitten figurines. I really love this collectible series. I think all of the kittens are super cute, some mischievous, some just really dorky, and I really wanted to make a proper display for them since I didn't just like them sitting in the shelves. A lot of them have fun characters and like props and stuff. I thought making a display that really gives them a chance to like have a meaning behind their expression would be the best. So I'm starting off with one of these like figure picture frames. I think this one was from IKEA, and all I'm gonna do is basically make it into 2 rooms with a little bit of thick cardstock that I'm gluing in place. And to actually build this up, I just glued the backing onto the framework, and then I'm just going to paint the inside, and this will be basically like the lower section with the white wall. To get this structure, I went in with a thick layer of structure paste, and then I'm using my very cheap makeup brush just to dab it on, and that will give it this like grainy kind of texture. Next up, I wanted to make a laundry basket since one of the cats had a little sock in his hand, and I thought it would be cute to have him standing next to the basket, maybe with the other sock from the pair hanging out from the side. So I'm just using some XPS foam and shaving that into the right shape, and then I'm going to try and texture it a bit by making like a kind of woven optic. And to achieve that, I just cut out some strips out of some thicker paper, and I'm going to try and weave them over some toothpicks, which this was actually a bit more challenging than I thought, but I think in the end it turned out pretty nicely. Now this project will come out in 2 parts because the footage I had was over 5 hours, and I really didn't want to cram that all into one video, just so I had the full like project in one. So I'm going to split this up into 2, and I'm going to upload this next part next week for this. For the lid, I'm basically doing the same thing, except for that I'm not really weaving the parts in. I just want a little bit of the texture, and this will hopefully come out nicely once it's painted. Next up was the part of the sculpting, and here I'm just using some paper clay. The reason why I chose this for fabric is first of all it dries a bit lighter, and second of all it gets like a little bit of texture when it dries and a little bit more of a matte finish, so I really hope it will look more like fabric. And then I used this random 3D printed part that I had lying around for basically using it as a base to sculpt on to get the like curve that the sock will have. And I also like measured it against the sock that the tiny cat has. And all I'm basically doing is shaping it a little bit, adding some wrinkles with my sculpting tool, and that's that. But because the basket looks a bit more empty, I wanted to also add like a little bit of something, maybe a sheet or something that like pokes on the outside, maybe a blanket. So I basically did the same thing. I cut like a thinner piece out of the paper clay, and then I'm just shaping it with all of the wrinkles. And also to help me prop up the lid a little bit so you can actually see the items a bit better, I'm also adding another like kind of blob of this paper clay, and I'm just gonna add some wrinkles very randomly. Maybe this is the rest of the bunch of sheets or blankets or something, but I hope that in the end it will look like the basket is actually full of laundry. For painting this, I went with just some acrylics in this very warm and nice brown, but it's also going to get a little bit of weathering and a wash to bring out the structure a bit more. It was kind of hard to force the paint into all the like tiny gaps from the weave, but once I got it, I think it looked really nice. And then I just cut everything to size and glued on the sock and the like tiny edge of the blanket. And then I could also paint these. For the blanket I went with this like a bit darker shade of blue to have a bit more contrast. And then for the sock I'm trying to basically just mimic the stripes that the other one, the cat has, just so they actually look like a pair. This is also why I purposefully sculpted it so it looks like the opening is towards the bottom, so hanging out, so you can really see that it's meant to be the same sock. The detail work on this took a little while because of how thin the stripes were, but I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. I think it really looks like another one of the socks from this pair. The cat with the like tiny snack bags in his hand really inspired me to make part of the upper area a kitchen and the other part is going to be a living room, because I thought it would be super adorable to just have him sit in a cabinet proudly presenting that he got to the snacks. And for that I'm currently building a cabinet. Only one side of it is going to be open and mimic like he got into there with just a missing door. So for the other side I need to make a door, and for that I'm just using some thinner cardboard and I'm basically giving it a trim with the same material, just angling some evenly cut stripes, and that hopefully should be looking a bit more like a closed door. And for the framework I'm just using the same like thicker cardstock that I used for separating the rooms beforehand. And this gets glued in place pretty flatly. I cannot really add a handle because of the depth limitations I have, but I think this will still look pretty nicely like a cupboard. And then I'm choosing this like green salvia kind of color because I think it is a really nice kitchen color, and I think it's really like good to look at in the diorama and it makes the kittens pop. And for the counter I'm going with like a simple marble look, and I'm going to put some basic tiles in the background which I'm just cutting out of some craft foam, which I'm scoring to have like the tile marks, and then I'm going to like heat it up a little bit with my heat gun just to open up the tiny cuts, and then I can paint it. And with a couple layers of gesso and white it will hopefully look a bit more like routed tile work. To get the marbled look on the counter I'm just basically adding a fresh layer of white, and then directly on top, when it's still a bit wet, I'm just blending in some of this black paint in splotches, and then I'm adding another layer of white to blend it out a little more. And that's it for the first part. I will see you next week in the next part hopefully, where I'm putting everything together, putting the figures in place and actually making a little bit more props and furniture. Have a great day, bye bye!